CJ is in a room with friends.
Oh, wow.
He's out of town, so he doesn't want to wake them up.
I love it.
Yeah, so for the Briggs auction item of the week, I told him to put something up. He's not going to talk. We just got to figure out what's good about it. So it's kind of exciting.
Amazing.
On a quick medical update, personal medical update.
I'd love one.
So for years, when the weather changes, I get horribly congested, right?
Okay.
Like coughing is horrible. Can't sleep when the weather changes. And I'm like, finally, I'm going to go to the allergist. I'm going to figure out what I'm allergic to, and maybe I can get allergy shots. Maybe it'll help me.
Yeah.
It's like intolerable. So go there. They do the little pricks on your back or whatever. I don't know if you've ever been for allergy testing. They take little needles. They test you.
Of course.
Lady comes back. She looks at it. She's like, I'm going to go get the doctor. So she leaves. She comes back, and I'm thinking to myself, fuck, maybe I'm allergic to everything. And they go, doctor comes back and looks, and he's like, you haven't taken any antihistamines? I'm like, no, not for a week. He's like, well, you're not allergic to anything.
Yeah.
I was like, nothing? He's like, nothing. And then he told me about some condition, I didn't write it down, that is like a non-allergic condition where you get allergic reactions to like temperature changes or smells or stress. And I forget what it's called. It's like one of these diagnoses that when they can't figure out what it is, they call it that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, what do I do for that? And he's like, you just take allergy medicine. And I was like, well, I've been doing that. It doesn't work. So that's my quick medical update. So
wow.
It got warm again, so I'm once again struggling.
Yeah, I've gotten the allergy test, the little pricks on your back all the time.
You allergic to anything?
Peanuts.
Oh, peanuts. Right. I forgot about
a bunch of other lesser things, but
yeah, I'm not. They said nothing.
That's wild.
It was like insulting.
That's wild. That's modern marvel.
Yeah, they should put me in a lab, study me. On the show today, Sixers beat the Jazz and move into the 7th position in the Eastern Conference standings. More on Daryl keeping or losing his job, as Mike missed that in the last podcast. Whether Mike would want to be an expansion team, because Mike missed that on the last podcast. And former Sixer Lou Williams lies on the internet, just flat out lies. The Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. Brought to you by Briggs Auction, the official auction of the Ricky, briggsauction.com. Adam Ksebe, the official realtor of the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast, 302-864-8643, or buyindelaware.com. And Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, the official canned cocktail of the Ricky. So, mention Surfside. So I don't even know. We're probably not even supposed to. They're going to, Surfside folks, the stateside folks are going to tell us when to start talking about this stuff. But they sent me this package in the mail, so I'm going to talk about it anyway. Surfside is great, but they have this new stuff, super light. Mm-hmm. Mike, I don't know if you got a package. I think they're going to send you a package.
I got it.
You got it? Dude, let me tell you something about super light. So it's an electrolyte vodka thing. There's no sugar. There's 90 calories. It tastes so good, you are not going to believe it. They haven't told me what to say yet. I don't know what the big tagline for Super Light is going to be, but mine is, this is way fucking better than you could even expect it's going to be. So fruit punch, orange, lemon lime, blue chill. I know you can order it at drinksurfside.com, and I know they're doing a big party over at Stateside Live before the opening day, but it's very good. Whenever it comes out, we love Surfside, of course. Get your Surfside, but whenever you can get this, wherever is near you, wherever your canned cocktails are sold, I would suggest you try it. If you're 21, of course, and you have to enjoy it responsibly, of course. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all.
Welcome to the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is never too tired. It is never too early to celebrate a win over a team trying to lose. That is one Mike Levin.
Here we are. I got my dog perfectly placed in frame, just watching the podcast from...
It really looks like a statue of your... Oh, there he goes. There he's moving now.
No, he's moving.
Yeah, he's moving. Wow.
Yeah, he wants more attention than I'm currently giving him.
Yeah, he is on alert right now. He's just watching out, dude. That is a guard dog if I ever saw one.
Yeah, Moose is very good. But he's excited about the win over the Jazz.
Yeah,
I mean, they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat. Like, they lose by 1,000 to any serious competition. Denver, Detroit, San Antonio, Cleveland. And
Kings game was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they, for the most part, struggle against tanking teams until the last couple minutes where they pull away. It's just like, I mean, that Portland game was pretty nice, and that's a team that is trying for the most part. I don't know if you heard it. You probably didn't. AU called it, quote, the best win of the year. Oh man. Oh God. Someone check on him.
He did. He called it the best win of the year. He tried to stop himself from saying it. He was like, that was a really good win. I was like, it was a good win. He said, it was the best win of the year, I think. And I let it slide. Oh, yeah. Wow. Brutal. I love him. I let it slide. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel so nothing about this team right now. I feel
it's hard to, because it's not even really the team,
It's not the team. It's March.
Yeah.
The tournament is taking up my attention. The Sixers are like they just feel fake. It feels like this computer generated fake Sixers team that is just continuing to play out the string. But they are 39-32. They are sort of edging by the teams they're supposed to beat.
They are seventh currently.
Yeah, tied for the 6th seed, having lost the tiebreaker to the Hawks. They're a game back of the 5th.
Yep.
Paul George comes. I mean, they're going to lose to the Thunder by 1 million points tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Then PG comes back. No minutes restriction.
No. Wow. Could you imagine if he came back with a minutes restriction?
I bet there's a little bit of a restriction.
No.
I bet there's a tiny restriction. He's not going to play back-to-backs probably, right?
Well, but that was already there. He was never going to play back-to-backs. So,
but other people do.
Well, yeah, but that's not the Sixers.
Okay.
And we don't have any idea on Joel Embiid, who Sixers Adam rightly pointed out they have not given an official update on after his oblique injury.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Nurse did say that he had done one-on-one on court, and he said he must have had a follow-up, but there's no official follow-up to the Embiid, so we don't know when Embiid's coming back. I do think it's possible he's just sort of waiting for Paul George to come back.
I think that's fine, I guess. Yeah. I mean, everything is fake. Yeah. We're all living in like fake land where like we have to pretend as if this is how normal NBA teams operate, but I guess it's like, well, Joel knows. We know what Joel can do by himself. The games don't matter. I guess the things that matter is like Maxey, Embiid, Joel, PG getting minutes together.
Yes.
So giving Joel a nice long break before he plays in the last 10 games of the season, of which he'll play maybe like 6 of them. We'll see. Oubre's still not back.
No.
It's just Barlow went out yesterday.
Yeah, sprained ankle.
Sprained ankle. Edgecombe got hit in the face. Thought that was going to be.
Yep, stumbled into the locker room at halftime. Yeah.
That was going to be it for him.
Well, we also don't know. We are optimistic about Tyrese Maxey. He was running around before the game and looked like he was dribbling a ball, but they said they would reevaluate him in 3 weeks, and that would be March 31st, and then there's a game on April 1st, and that would give Maxey 7 games remaining. So PG returns on Wednesday. Is that against the Bulls, right? On Wednesday? Yeah. And then Embiid, we don't know. And so and I agree with you. I watch these games and I try to pick something from it, but it is so distant from, like, you're watching the games, and this is no disrespect to any of these players, I promise, but you're watching and it's like, well, there's Campaign and Marjon Beauchamp and Dalen Terry and Bona playing, and I'm like, whoa.
Lowry sometimes.
Lowry occasionally. Well, we did have Campaign and Lowry at the same time at some time in the last week. So you're watching it and you're just sort of, it's good that they're getting by these teams. It would be nice to be out of the play-in at this point if you're them, because the play-in teams are all pretty good. But yeah, they're a game out of the fifth seed, though I don't think they have the tiebreaker over the Raptors. I can't remember. They're a game out of the fifth seed. They are.
They do have the tiebreaker.
They do have the tiebreaker.
They're 2-2, but the division record is the next one.
And they do have tiebreaker over Orlando, and I believe they do have tiebreaker over Miami as well. I believe so.
Interesting. I don't remember the Miami one.
So they are a half game ahead of. It's all pretty compact from the 5th seed to the 10th seed. There's 3 games separating all of them. So beating the shitty teams like this that you're supposed to beat. The one thing I keep coming back to watching this version of the Sixers, the only I guess moderately interesting take, and I mentioned this to AU, is Bona. Bona had a good game, really good game. It does, and they tried this occasionally. It does seem like he should be able to play with Embiid if Barlow can play with Embiid. Barlow will shoot corner threes more than Bona would. I don't know how much more you want him to, but he does, from a defensive standpoint, sort of in a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy Aaron Gordon way, with the new version of Embiid, sort of make up for the things that Embiid doesn't really do well defensively anymore, putting Bona there, and his activity, the fact that he can rim run, all that sort of stuff. I think him and Embiid would not be a bad thing to see together, and if Barlow misses an extended period of time, maybe we'll see some of that.
Yeah, I think odds are it'll be Jabari Walker for some time, just from the rebounding perspective, but
yep.
And maybe a little bit better 3-point shooting, but Bona, there's a little bit. This is all. It's not as good as this, so we're doing copies of copies. But the way that Bona can be the Giannis to Embiid's Brook Lopez, or the Jaren Jackson to Embiid's Zach Edey or Steven Adams or whatever.
Yeah.
That kind of, it's
Wish
not bad
shoot,
to have.
But
it's not bad to have another long, physical, ferocious defender out there that can block some shots and help out. Like I like seeing that. You just really got to have everybody else be a shooter out there.
Yes, and they don't have enough of those guys.
Don't have enough of those. So
well, you could play them. I'm just trying to think of the guys that I would feel comfortable with. If you had Paul George, Maxey, and Grimes there, I think that would be your best 3, right? VJ's not really enough of a shooter. Grimes is a better shooter. Percentages aside, I'd feel more comfortable with Grimes shooting than VJ. So
VJ's. We talked about this a little bit of like what things that they could. It is good that that this is happening for him.
Yes, I agree.
We are, if you don't care about this season, if you think that this is a total write-off, which obviously odds are you're probably right. They got to go for it anyway, but that's almost certainly the outcome. Then the experience for VJ is the priority, right? And so no Maxey allows him to play a lot more on ball. He has 38, 11, and 7 against the Kings. Obviously it's the Kings, but a bunch of really nice moves there, a bunch of work on ball, a bunch of getting by guys, only 1 turnover, 11 assists. Like that's great. That's great. And so that's
a lot of rebounding the last couple of games for him as well.
For sure. That's why I kind of quibble with the idea of like, I think it's a little bit reductive to say he can't dribble. He's making a lot of on-ball moves. There's improvements to his handle that he can and will make over the course of the next couple of years, but he is not like inept out there, and he's making. Like, you don't have 11 assists to 1 turnover if you can't dribble. You don't get to the basket as much as he does if you can't dribble.
Well, but from a guard perspective, he doesn't have much of a handle.
I disagree. I think it absolutely has a ton of room for improvement, but I think he's shown this season that like he is really a lot more capable than he was shown to be at Baylor, and there's a lot to like. But I think it's all good. Not to say he's not making mistakes.
Yeah.
But I think these are the mistakes that he can and should work through as he improves to hopefully become like a 1 or 1A option in the next couple of years. So it's been 22 and 13 last night. He's just he's a really good player. I love watching him. It seems like all the vets love him. Like we really lucked out in so many ways getting VJ in the draft and him being as good as he is right away.
Literally lucked out. Literally, you could watch
we did it. We rigged
Franklin Music Hall actually got lucky that we got that pick. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by Briggs Auction. Oh, big news from Briggs Auction. Now, we're going to have the CJ item of the week in a second, but CJ won't be on the screen because he is in the room with sleeping people. So I told him he's going to have to put the item on the screen, and I don't even know what the item is. We're going to have to figure out if it's cool or not. But I was texting with Steve from Briggs Auction. So before, if you want an item, they could find a shipper for you. But now they offer in-house local delivery. So when you win an item at Briggs Auction, and I was honest with him, I love Briggs Auction, but I've only won smaller items because I don't want to have to go pick up some fucking dresser or something. I can't do that. I have a bad back. I'm a weak person in general. I only have a small SUV. What am I going to do? So now, if you win an auction item, they will bring it to you. That from furniture to fragile stuff, whatever. So you don't have to worry about, now they do have open pickup on Saturdays. You can do it by appointment during the week, but now they have in-house local delivery, which I think is huge and now will make me bid on absolutely more stuff. Now, speaking of more stuff, now briggsauction.com and the app in the App Store or Google Play. Now, here's the CJ Briggs auction item of the week that we have to, it's a lamp.
Oh.
It's an old timey kind of lamp, an Art Nouveau slag glass and bronze figural lamp. Wow, the bid is at $275.
Art Nouveau slag glass has always been my favorite kind.
Yes, I'm an Art Nouveau guy, but when you start getting into Art Nouveau slag glass, whoa, and that's a lady on the
holding it up
lamppost there.
That's nice.
That is pretty nice.
You know, this is like way heavier than you'd expect it to be.
Yes. And this is something you would either see in a haunted house or at a Cape May bed and breakfast. I think these are the only two places you would see something like this. It is a really cool lamp. Now, Briggs Auction, check in. They're really cooking, sales every week, auctions every week. You have lamps like that, furniture, art, collectibles, sporting goods, electronics. The list goes on and on and on. Now, you can either go there looking for something you want, or you can go there with an open heart and an open mind and say, holy shit, look at all this cool stuff I didn't even know I fucking needed. Every week, briggsauction.com or the App Store or Google Play. As I mentioned, they have in-house shipping now. They can get it to you, or there is open pickup on Saturdays or by appointment during the week. If you want to get rid of some stuff that is of value that could work in maybe a Cape May bed and breakfast, send them an email. They can take care of it for you. info@briggsauction.com. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. Now, we didn't do the pod after. I'm committed to just having you turn a small corner on Justin Edwards.
Well, he's been a lot better since I called him just a guy. He's had some really nice moments.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, did not have a great game against the Jazz, but he just feels now, it's fair to note, many of the teams they're playing now are either coasting to the playoffs or trying to lose on purpose. All of that is fair, but definitely looks pretty decisive offensively. And I don't know. He looks way better. He is looking now the way that I thought he would look in summer league or something. You know,
no, that's fair.
That's kind of viable.
Had a great game against Sacramento. Really confident. Same against Portland. Really just like stepping into things. He's always had that little mid range in the lane, but I thought it's been a few nice finishes around the rim. He took it to Filipowski last night and had a nice finish. It's just there's some tricky stuff that he's doing, and I'm seeing it. I'm respecting it.
Wow.
I think a lot of it is just like, can you hit enough threes to stay on the court? And he was 7 of 11 against Sacramento, 1 of 5 last night. But he's gonna try. He's gonna make the right pass. He's gonna, be in the right place defensively, even if he's not like equipped to do anything about it. But he's been good. Yeah. It's credit where it's due for sure. I mean, he was a plus 47 against the Kings. That is
it's pretty good.
That is some productive minutes.
Yeah. So I had a conversation with anything left on the game. I assume not.
I mean, a good Grimes game. He's been good. Grimes has been good. He's with a bigger role. He has been like, he can really turn on the Jets. He can really explode to the rim. And a lot of like he was finishing that game. They didn't want to win anymore, but he was finishing that game for them.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought it was a good Watford game after a couple ones that he struggled in.
Yeah, I can't figure out. I want to like him. I can't figure out if him succeeding in a game like this is. I have trouble imagining him in the playoffs. I really do. He can't jump and he can't shoot, and I guess I just have trouble thinking about the things that work for him in games like this working in the playoffs. Whether he could be a player in the playoffs. I can't imagine him taking advantage of like posting up. I think if I saw Trendon Watford posting up in a playoff game, I'd probably have a heart attack. So
I'm betting it happens in the play-in. I think it's going to be like third quarter minutes, got to win them, and it's like Trendon Watford posting up Nickeil Alexander-Walker or something.
Oh God. So we had a conversation, AU and I, about, because we got this voicemail. This guy just furious. He's like, look at all these mistakes. Morey's got to get fired. He's got to get fired. He's got to get fired. And just had a conversation about the odds that Nurse and Morey are back next year. Two-pronged conversation. One, do you think they should be? And two, do you think they will? I think we both settled on we don't care whether Nick Nurse is back or not. It's a better conversation about Daryl. I think what we settled on was you could make an argument that he deserves to be fired, but then you think about, is it the right move for the organization? Do you have faith in him moving forward? Do you have a better answer? And maybe the answer is no. So you could say, like, there's been enough mistakes. There hasn't been enough progress. You know, you could make the argument that he deserves to be fired, but it is a lot harder, at least for me, to say that I want somebody else there. But one thing we were talking about that we've had a conversation about a number of times is the signing of Paul George. One of the things I always do when people argue against the Paul George signing is say, well, what would you have done? You can only sign the available players. So this email is about that. This is from Conrad. Writes to rickysanchez@gmail.com. Hey guys, had a thought on the Sixers while listening to Spike and AU's discussion about whether Morey's job is at risk. In investing, there's a concept called the Sharpe ratio, basically how much return you get per unit of risk. That's exactly how an NBA GM should think about player contracts, especially max contracts. This is where I think Daryl's judgment was fundamentally flawed, and where I form my counter argument to Spike's question back to people of who should they have signed instead of PG. Embiid is a potential MVP level player when healthy, but a massive availability risk. Paul George, similar story, older, injury history. Embiid's extension, especially at the time given, could never be a middle of the road or even a reasonable contract in terms of money and length. It was either going to end one of two ways. One, where it has to this point, with Joel's availability being what it is, which makes him the most distressed asset in the league. Two, Joel's availability somehow improves as he gets older and he returns to MVP form. Then everyone accepts the money and length as the going rate for that type of player. The same type is true for PG, with his upside being even more limited than Joel's at this stage of his career, but availability being the biggest risk. That's the fundamental flaw in these two deals. They're currently the most distressed assets in the league, so the question of who else should they have signed or what else could they have done is literally anything of shorter length and potentially less money. They could have signed Mike to a $20 million per year for 2 years, and that would not be a worse contract than these two.
Well, I like that.
Yeah, what Daryl did is maximize ceiling while building a terrible, quote, risk-adjusted portfolio. And I think that's the real issue with Morey. He consistently builds for the theoretical upside instead of risk-adjusted outcomes. The same principle applies to the McCain trade. So wondering what you think of that.
Yeah, I mean, Daryl definitely is always going for upside. I think sometimes blindly in a way that like doesn't conceive of other of like a relative upside being more accomplished if there are different kinds of players there. So he just like looked at Paul George and was like, that's the best player, so that means that would be the upside. That if he's the best player, then he can play that, like, then that's better. But I don't have the list of free agents from that offseason back in front of me, but there's guys that you could have gotten that play harder that would have been more available, that would have helped maximize other guys' upside. I don't agree. I think it's a very binary way to say that the Embiid outcome is either going to be he is either an MVP or he's never available. I mean, we're currently in a middle ground of that, where he is playing at a very high level when he's there, but also he's not there that much. And so you're just going through the ups and downs. So I don't think that that's the case. The fact that Embiid has 1 year longer than PG makes it like obviously incredibly distressed. I'm just frustrated that Daryl's issue has been like he signs guys to contracts that he then has to attach picks to trade, and that
the smaller ones, the Eric Gordons of the world,
Eric Gordon, KJ Martin.
I understood that shot though. I understood the KJ Martin thing might have worked out well if that team wasn't such a disaster.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I liked KJ Martin. It's just like, why are we giving him that balloon payment that you're then having to?
So they could trade him. Like I think if we look back,
they had to trade picks with him.
Right, but if we look back, the idea was if they want to upgrade, they're going to need at the deadline. They're going to need a tradable contract. So that's why they did it. I agree with you. In retrospect, bad idea. I don't think he expected to be one of the 5 worst teams in the league.
Sure. Yeah, certainly not. Yeah. I don't think he expected it in January of the year that they should have done that. And we're late to tank for VJ. I really don't. I don't know. I think as far as like will it happen, I'd say I think maybe I'm a 50% on should it happen, and I'm like a 65% on will it happen. I think the McCain stuff is just not that there's not going to benefit from it, and I'm obviously very excited about guys that they can get at 25 or whatever. It just like puts such a, I mean, I've said putting your dick in a vice enough times, but like a target on your back in such a massive way, and then both because of him being useful in OKC, and also Maxey getting hurt, which was like a relatively likely thing to happen. I mean, it happened in like a surprising way, but like the minutes tax on him was incredibly high because of the coach that Daryl has and the roster assembled and the.
Maxey had another 18 and a win yesterday. So
McCain
rather, yeah. He has led the team, the Thunder, in scoring more than Embiid has since the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean that's bad. That's a bad look for Daryl. And sometimes like the confluence of bad luck, of Maxey getting hurt when he did, of the Thunder rotation thinning out when it did, so that McCain could play, and him succeeding and threes falling and all that stuff. Like sometimes that makes you lose your job. Like you bet and it immediately like craps out in your face. Then like that makes you lose your job. And I think if the Sixers fall in the play-in, I think Daryl will probably go.
I do not. I still now. I think he might have to fire Nick Nurse to keep his job, but I do not think he'll lose his job. So here is my.
Well, especially if they're blaming Nick for the McCain thing, like you were saying.
Yes. Yeah.
Then Daryl can be like, well, Nick wasn't going to play him, and so I guess Nick is the problem.
Well, the general manager usually has the fire, but I guess he used the fire the coach bullet with Doc Rivers. Yeah. So the first to Conrad's email, I think what Daryl would say to you is there are only 2 meaningful outcomes in the NBA, boom or bust. We all agree to that. So he was taking the outcome that had any possibility of boom, even though it had a much higher possibility of bust. So if you talk to us 10 years ago, not the war-torn version of us now, we would say we would rather be in the lottery than win 43 games, right? So I think what Daryl would say to you is this was yes, as you said, he maximized ceiling by building a terrible risk-adjusted portfolio. I think the other thing that you have to figure is if you don't give Embiid the extension, and I think he acknowledges this in the email, you probably just have to trade him. So that would be fine. That's the other option, but you don't note that in your email. Now, the free agents, and I'm looking at them, most of them weren't even really free agents. So LeBron wasn't really a free agent. Pascal Siakam wasn't really a free agent. I guess they could have traded for him. OG Anunoby wasn't really a free agent. Maxey not really one. Harden not really one. Quickly not really one. Isaiah Hartenstein, I guess.
Yeah, to me, it's the
Miles Bridges. There's not a lot. DeMar DeRozan, KCP.
Well, that's the thing, and this is sort of a blanket thing that I always mean to say, but then I don't say enough.
Okay.
When you can't think just like one move ahead, right?
Yes.
And so the version of it of, okay, well, who would we sign instead? That doesn't. If you say you signed Hartenstein or whoever, anybody, any combination of guys, then that doesn't open the door to then being able to trade that player for something down the road. Instead, you've locked yourself into an untradeable contract.
Right.
When you maxed out Paul George, a completely untradeable contract, and that limits the amount of moves and flexibility you have. That's why, like at the deadline, it was like the McCain trade obviously punched us in the dick, but Oubre and Drummond and a stacking of minimum contracts. How are you going to trade anything? Whereas if you had some of the like Hawks level flexibility in that like $15 to $25 million contract range, then all of a sudden you can start to mix those up and find the right fit or whatever. So there's too often, I think, we as a collective group of people talking about the Sixers just think about the first move, and in the alternatives there are subsequent moves that could have happened, and that given flexibility with lesser contracts that would stack together.
I think that's a fair thing to say. And I think that is also how he got out of the Houston problem. The Houston problem meaning the, Yao Ming and that whole era of Rockets basketball collapsing was not about, it ended up being one big trade for Harden, but it was a lot of small moves to crawl out of it that got him to that. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting. Unfortunately, Mike does not live in a DraftKings Sportsbook app state right now, or else he would be very dialed in during the tournament right now.
Well, when I was in New Orleans, I did put some futures bets in, so I'm still dialed in.
Okay, still dialed in. I'm just saying for live betting, not dialed in.
That's
so
true.
Here's what we got today. I just want you to give me some picks, Mike. And do not, Mike's picks are for amusement purposes only. Let's see. UCLA, 4.5 point dogs to UConn.
It's interesting. It's 4.5. So I took UCLA in my bracket. So
okay.
I like that it's only 4.5. That is That's respect for the pick that I made.
Okay. How about, I'm looking at today, how about Kentucky plus 5.5 against Iowa State?
Iowa State, interesting because they lost their best all-around player, Joshua Jefferson, to an ankle thing right at the top of the first-round game, and I haven't seen if he's playing or not. Joshua Jefferson, also a potential Sixer in the 25 range. I think Kentucky is just not good enough, and I think Iowa State will pull it out, but it might be closer than you want it to be. So okay. I would probably stay away from that.
And here's one more. How about Arizona, #1 seed Arizona, minus 11.5 against Utah State?
I mean, Utah State looked good, but I think Arizona's a machine. I think they're going to handle them pretty well. I would take Arizona to cover.
All right. Well, if you are not in California, if you're in a state with DraftKings Sportsbook, live betting, #1 for live betting, and there's a lot of fucking games going on. If you're new to DraftKings, bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code RTRS. That is code RTRS to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets instantly. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 21. See show notes for details. I don't know. I know you had a busy week. Did you see the Statman's prospect?
I've had it in my email inbox. I've been meaning to look at it. I have not done it.
Okay. All right. And I was meaning to ask you, can I ask you something about your job? Just because you had a busy week.
Yeah.
So Mike is I said the office last time the last pod, we start the pod, we're live. AU drops out for the first 3.5 minutes of the pod.
No.
So
CJ step in?
No, there's no CJ. It was just me. So I just started doing the pod by myself. Wow. And while I was doing it, I said, the reason you weren't there is you were a writer on The Office. Of course, The Office spinoff, the paper. So this week you were particularly busy because it was it was an episode that you were a primary writer on, right? Mm-hmm. What is your additional responsibility on set when you are in that position? I'm really just curious what else it is.
So when I'm on staff, so there's 8 or 9 writers kind of cycling in and out, different responsibilities, but all season you're in the writer's room, and then we have 10 episodes, and so 10 different folks have their episode that they wrote. Mm-hmm. And so then for that episode that they're writing the first draft, and then we rewrite it together, and then they're going to all the prep meetings, the production meeting, props meeting, costume design, art department, like all the stuff that the crew is like getting together for these scenes, for these characters, for these moments, props, whatever. And then you're like sort of shepherding this episode from beginning to end. And so I'm on set. I was on set all week. We shot on the lot for 3 days and then on location out in LA for 2 days, different parts of LA. And so I'm there making sure the story is holding up, making sure the scenes are working, answering questions about like what the intent of different lines is, like talking to the actors to help them understand why their character would do that kind of thing.
Sort of like directing a little bit, kind of like, a little mini directing.
Director was the same director we worked with last year for our episode. Just happened to work out that way. Yana Gorskaya, who's great. She directed a ton of What We Do in the Shadows, which is one of my favorite shows of the last few years. So she's directing, and I'm sort of there as like we didn't get a take where he does it like this kind of thing.
Right.
So she's focused on like everything, like
yep.
including like the lighting, all that stuff. And I'm as a writer on set, you have like a more specific responsibility rather than all of it. And so it's nice that she is handling most of it, and I'm just like, I think this could be funnier if they did this, like that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. We got a relationship advice question. We can't play the relationship advice song because we get a copyright strike every time for it, but I want you to imagine Eliza Hardy-Jones singing right now. This one is from Dallin.
She sounds great.
She does. She sounds amazing, as always. From Dallin. Hello. I need relationship advice, and I have a jigsaw. I'll try to be as concise as it is neither 1st nor 2nd August. I would think March in this season is sort of like August, to be honest with you.
Especially when the tournament is happening. It's definitely August for the Sixers.
Yes. I'm currently talking to this girl, and a couple days ago, the topic of the Sixers came up. She referred to them as a, quote, fun team. I responded with the following. The Sixers are certainly something. This season has been so weird that you could use just about any adjective, and I'd believe you, LOL. My question is this. When people ask or mention the Sixers, how far in depth is it socially acceptable to go, both platonically and otherwise? And then Jigsaw, would you rather be allergic to all types of deodorant or all types of toothpaste/mouthwash? I try to avoid Sixers conversation in real life nearly 100% of the time.
Yeah, pretty much same.
Yeah, I give a general answer. And I not only have this, Mike doesn't, I have 4 hours that it's potential that someone could ask me a question on the radio and have to respond in earnest. So there's occasionally I'll be we have like a little cafe area at work, and one of the sales guys will come up or somebody not in programming, and I'll go, hey, how about this blankety blank Sixers thing? And I'll usually, if I know the person well enough, say, are you really making me do this right now? But if it's a newer person, I'll just go, yeah, and then try to move on. So I think that's what you should do. I think that is my relationship to you, my advice to you. If you're the girl that you're talking to insists on talking about the Sixers, I don't know. I mean, you might have to
it's
look
different
for somebody else.
For me and you versus if you're not talking about them publicly as often as we are.
Right. Sure.
You obviously more than me.
Yeah.
But there is some sense of like, at least I can only speak for myself. And if I wasn't doing this podcast, maybe I would be just worked up all the time and needing to talk to other people about it, that I'm not getting out the feeling in this sort of therapeutic session podcast that we've been doing for 75 years. You know how when a dog is being like docile and showing that it's not a threat, it's just like laying on its back, and just like going belly up.
Yeah,
I'm doing that about the Sixers. What's different when it's like other fan bases. When other fan bases are like the Sixers, well, fucking Embiid, that kind of thing, ready to go at them, and they're like, we're gonna do some sparring. That's just not the kind of fan or sports person that I am. I don't like to. Your team sucks because of this kind of guy. And so I will do that. But not only will I like sort of like lay on my back, like I hate the Sixers so much more than you could. I'm also sort of like a dog sort of stabbing itself as he's down there, where you're like, I'm laying on my back and also I'm like bleeding out. And so the other dog doesn't want to attack me because it's like, oh, this dog's kind of weird. I'm going to go somewhere else.
Dog's holding a knife.
This dog's got a knife. But yeah, I think if you're a regular person, unlike us, then you can be like, they make my life a living hell, and you keep it moving. But it really depends on the kind of person that you're talking about it with. Like if you find a person that can understand the way that we talk or think about sports, which is it is a miserable experience and part of your life that you simply cannot change, then they'll get it and you can commiserate with them. But then you don't want to get into all of a sudden there's like, oh, the Sixers are nice, Sixers are fun, VJ's cool, Maxey, he's fun, whatever. And then you're like, yeah, I want to kill myself. It's sort of just like not the right flirty vibe, I would say.
Would you rather be allergic to all deodorants or all toothpaste / mouthwashes? I think this is an easy answer for me.
Oof. I mean, I guess it is worse. It's not bad breath is probably as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
So I guess I would say all deodorants.
Yeah.
Because you can just shower a lot. And
also, little secret. If you go without deodorant for a week or two, you don't need it as much as you think you do.
Interesting.
Just throwing it out there.
I'm not going to test that theory.
It's sort of like the shampoo scam that that industry has going on people. There's a little bit of a deodorant scam.
I'm going to keep washing myself.
That's fine. Well, I'm not saying not to wash yourself. I'm just saying your hair is not dirty.
I'm washing it all.
Okay. All right. Your hair is not dirty. Lou Williams was on the Out the Mud podcast, which is not hosted by Paul Reed. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about when Allen Iverson got traded. Here's what he had to say about the game after Allen Iverson got traded.
I had to take a bus to Little Rock, Arkansas, playing the game on Saturday. So I had 40 on Monday. I had 40 on Wednesday. I had 40 on Friday. Got on a bus, 9 hours, drive to Little Rock, Arkansas. I wasn't in my room 30 minutes. I get to my room in Little Rock, Arkansas, 30 minutes.
Somewhere nearby.
The GM called my room from the Philadelphia 76ers. He said, hey, there's a noon flight. We got to get you to Philly ASAP. I said, what's up? They said, we ain't got time right now, but turn ESPN on. They had traded AI. So the 1 week that I leave, AI had got traded. So they scrambled. I get to Arkansas at 9:30. I'm on a flight at 12 o'clock going to Philly. I get there at halftime. They playing against the Washington Wizards. And I played the whole third and fourth quarter and never turned back. Never looked back after that.
So that's actually not what happened at all. So Allen Iverson was traded on December 19th. There was no game that day. There was a game against the Indiana Pacers on December 20th. Lou Williams played a total of 10 minutes, including minutes in the first quarter. Lou Williams did play against the Washington Wizards on December 8th when he was called up from the D-League. He played a total of 57 seconds in that game, but it was a week and a half before the Allen Iverson trade. Now, I don't think he was lying on purpose. I do think I listened to some Malcolm Gladwell podcast about how you distort your own memory by telling the wrong story over and over again. I'm sure he remembers this as being true, but it did not happen.
It's tough to. I have a bad memory with a bunch of things. Not a bad memory with where Process Sixers went to college.
Right.
That's where
I
sort of keep my brain space. But I don't think he's lying on purpose. I do think he is just, this is 20 years ago or something.
Yes.
He is remembering it wrong. I think it is indicative of how bad our memory actually is and how much you can just sort of believe stories that you have told about yourself.
Yes. I think it's incredible, actually. I really enjoy
and there
it.
is like something about getting older and like especially older generations. I wonder, I mean, our generation will probably do that also, but like you just like tell stories where you're like, you're the hero and you're getting wronged and people are crazy and making you do stuff. And isn't that just wild that happened that way? And it's like, no, it probably didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
So you hear someone tell a story and you're like, that just doesn't sound like a thing that would actually happen. And maybe you think it did, but it's been, the story has gotten stuck in the grooves of your brain for too long that you can't shake it.
Well, it's also like it's your life. So you being the star of every story is actually kind of natural. You know, you think of everything about how it relates to you. So I guess it's not that surprising. Just funny it didn't happen at all. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by Adam Ksebe, the official realtor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, based out of there, Long and Foster in Bethany Beach. Ksebe, the thing I like most about Ksebe and a lot of our partners here at Rights to Ricky Sanchez is that they love what they do. I can sort of relate to that. I love my job, obsessed with it, think about it all the time. Ksebe is the same way about Delaware Beach Realty. There are many realtors, maybe you've dealt with some better than others, that will show up to an open house when or show up to a showing of a house that you want to see. Maybe they'll show up at, the final closing or whatever, but not really doing the work for you. That is not the way that Ksebe is. And if you are trying to get a beach house down in the Delaware beaches, having somebody like him on your side who is, again, obsessed with the job, obsessed with making sure that you get the home that you want, let him know that you're a Ricky guy. He's been a Ricky guy for a very long time. He is just better than everybody else because he works harder and he is committed to doing it. Now, getting a Delaware beach house is great. If it is something that you've considered, one of the huge bonuses of Delaware, very low property taxes. You're talking about property taxes between $1,000 and $2,000 for a whole year. And then when you think of the rental income, it's basically paying your mortgage. Then you have your own place. Imagine telling your friends or your family, let's go down to my beach house, mine this weekend. Ksebe can make that happen. Ksebe. If it is time, what you should do is send him a text message or give him a call. This is his cell phone, 302-864-8643. That is 302-864-8643. Or go to buyindelaware.com. That is buyindelaware.com. That is Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, the official realtor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. We got this question via voicemail. I gave my answer last week, but would like to hear your answer, Mike, with the NBA saying that they are going to expand to Las Vegas and Seattle in 2028, 29. Not officially saying it yet, but it's going to happen. Here we go. Here's a question.
Mike, I have a hypothetical for you guys. Since expansion obviously seems to be on its way probably in the next year or two, I was wondering if you had the opportunity to do a Charlotte Hornets style reset of the franchise where the Sixers were moved, let's say, to Vegas, and the city was promised to be able to keep the team history and that they would be included in the next round of expansion, which again is, say, maybe a year or two out. Would you do it? Would you hit the reset button, keep the franchise history, lose the current team, lose the current ownership, lose the current roster, front office, and start fresh? Curious to see what you guys think. Thanks.
Would you hit the reset button if given the opportunity?
I would argue that we should, and I would argue that I wouldn't.
Okay.
Because there's a completionist part of myself.
Yep.
That sort of is just, you can't change it.
Just want to see how it ends.
We're locked in.
Yeah.
I don't like that they're expanding. I think it's a bad idea.
It's so stupid. Yeah, we talked about it you weren't here. It's ridiculous. A third of the league is tanking.
They should just move the Clippers to Seattle and call it a day.
And move the Pelicans. Maybe move the Pelicans to Las Vegas. Nobody goes to Pelicans games.
Yeah, well, we got our asses kicked there. But why does the NBA need a team in Vegas? That's not going to be. Let Vegas be the special place where you hold cup games or something. I don't know, but
I'm just saying if they want a team in Vegas, that there are teams that are not drawing well enough to have teams, and if they want a team in Vegas, they could move them. And I agree with you, the Clippers being in Seattle. The idea that you need more NBA teams, where so many of the NBA teams are like, we don't have enough good players, and we are so desperate for good players, we're going to lose on purpose for much of the season. That is not a team that needs. There's not a league that needs more teams. It just isn't.
Just move the Clippers to Seattle. It's
really ridiculous.
It should be it. And I think if you're going to add more teams, like the NBA needs to find a way to be more aggressive. I'm getting radicalized that the solution to tanking is punishing ownership, not punishing fan bases. I think there should be like massive taxes levied against owners or forcing them to sell the team if that's the case. There just needs to be more consequences for owners in this like extremely elite club of people that you can do anything you want and you're not.
Well,
you're never relegated. The team just continues to exist.
What causes that consequence? Just if the team isn't good?
Well, if you could decide that if you miss the playoffs for 3 years in a row, you get fined $20 million, like something like that. I don't know. It's like, why is there a luxury tax but not a miss the playoff tax? If you want to do it like that, then that's how
you've really swung on this one.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you essentially incentivizing teams to just get into the playoffs or have a base level of competency, I think is counter to you saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. I would have to think it through, obviously, but it's sort of counter to you saying if the team doesn't have what it takes to win a championship, it's okay if they just lose until they can.
Well, I would say like maybe it's not 3 years, maybe it's 4 years. Like what is like Vivek should not own the Kings. He's proven to be an incompetent owner there. The Wizards ownership, maybe not anymore if they're going in the right direction finally, but like has proven, the Bulls ownership has proven to not be able to do it. And so there's teams that are like what's happening with the Jazz, I think is sort of just playing. I mean, they're taking the system to its natural conclusion of like intentionally losing games and pulling players in the fourth quarter, including Ace Bailey, who the Sixers are allowed to have the best game of his season against. I think there's a difference between it, like if the Bucks lost Giannis, then it would be okay. We should be bad so we can end up in the lottery. But there's so many teams that are not being bad on purpose; they're just being bad because of incompetence. And so, I think there should be some ticking clock of if you don't do this, you get fined massively, and the next step is like a forced sale of the team or something. If in the circumstances when it's not intentional.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you from a generally, I think the fans getting punished for their incompetence sucks. Yes, I agree with you. And I don't know what the answer is, that they're not going to do relegation, but the idea that the teams that spend a lot aren't the ones that pay the tax. It's the teams that suck over and over and over again because they can't figure it out. Yeah. I think that's an interesting idea. I'd never considered that. I think it's an interesting idea.
Well, the biggest thing for me is like, if you try to get rid of the draft or disincentivize, maybe not but like,
and they're never going to get rid of the draft. So
lessen the reward of, hey, you had a bad season, but there's something waiting for you at the end of the rainbow. Then that just punishes fans. Like that only punishes fans. Because like the players, the management, they're all making money out of this venture. Fans are losing money out of this.
Yes, I agree. And time. Even if they don't spend money, they're spending their time, which is more valuable. For sure, I agree.
And so you have to make it interesting for them. And for so many fan bases, us included for a time, the thing that we were holding on to was like, hey, the hope of this draft pick working out. And that's going to make me watch college basketball. That's going to make me care about the draft and read mock drafts and watch the combine and watch summer league, all that stuff. And if you take that shit away, then it's just like, well, what am I doing here? Why do you want me to care? My owner sucks. I'll just check out forever. And so the solution to that is like, make the owner sell the team or penalize them severely, or there being like, the NFLPA survey about the franchises, do that same thing. And then if whoever has the worst one, like that is also a fine. Like, I don't know. Well, so like there should be more, like this is an exclusive club to own an NBA team, like an incredibly exclusive club. And while it is a business, it is also like a public good. It is like a civic uniting factor in a way that most businesses just aren't. And so you should have to be more accountable to your fan base, I think.
I agree. I 100% agree. I don't have anything else to say about it. I think the biggest problem with the NBA is that they have a weak leader. The NBA commissioner is a weak leader. He is terrified of the owners. Now, the commissioner does work for the owners in that's what they do, but he like the inability to adjust to how things change and what public sentiment is toward the league is actually kind of stunning in the NBA. So I think he's a horrible commissioner. I think he's been a horrible commissioner for a long time. I think he lived off one thing, that is the Donald Sterling thing, which was the easiest thing in the history of sports to pull off, and it was also a very long time ago. And I think it makes me sad that the league is when you go out and talk to regular people, the most famous athletes in the country used to be NBA players. And I don't hear people talking about the NBA, and I hear them talking about the Sixers locally, but it doesn't seem like it has the national profile it used to. And what people think about when they think about the NBA is teams losing on purpose and getting hurt all the time. Like that is generally what people think of when they think of the NBA.
And also because partly that is what the talking heads of the league, the primary ones, are talking about.
Because that's what's happening.
Yeah, but I think it's partial. I think it's both. I think there is too much. The NBA has prioritized too much. Like the regular season doesn't matter. Let's see him do it in the playoffs, and let's talk about like will Giannis leave? Will LeBron leave? Is like the main story aside from like not the games as much. And I think that we are like suffering the consequences of that. Of like it's filtered into players and fans that like the regular season is whatever.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is from Steven, writes RickySanchez@gmail.com. When playoff PED returns to the lineup, does he mainly get 1, booed, 2, cheered, or 3, golf clapped with gritted teeth? What will the reaction to Paul George be on Wednesday night, Mike?
It's really interesting. I could see a standing ovation. I really could. I could see a welcome back, we need you kind of thing. I could also see... I think it'll be a mix. I think some people will be standing and the cameras will find them because it is a home game. I think if it was a road game, then that would probably be better for them. I'm sure there will be... Well, the fact that he'll start and not like enter the game at some sort of time.
So he'll just get introduced during intros where everybody's cheering anyway.
Yeah.
It'll be off. The other thing to note is this is a game in... the end of March against the Bulls, who will have a lot of fans there. Bulls always draw, even when they're bad. It's not going to be a lot of diehard Sixers fans there right now, I don't think. I think there's a lot of... people go to the games right now are like, hey, we can never take the kids to a game. So I think it'll be golf clap. I think there'll be a lot of people that'll be unaware that Paul George hasn't played in 6 weeks, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Here we go. Writes to RickySanchez@gmail.com. Non-basketball question. Has Mike ever been inside a grocery store? Ranch is clearly in the salad dressing section.
I didn't say that's not where it is.
It's the same aisle as condiments as many stores, but not with the condiments like ketchup, mustard, and barbecue sauce.
So I don't take my cues on what things are based on where the grocery store places the items.
I'll tell you what. Google right now. What's the most popular salad dressing?
I'm not saying that it's not. It's called ranch dressing. I understand that.
Okay.
I'm saying that we as a society need to accept that it's not a dressing.
Of course it is.
You can call it.
It's the most popular
I think dressing indicates vinaigrette. And if anything is not a vinaigrette, then you're just putting...
So Thousand Island is not dressing?
I don't think so. I think it's a dipping sauce. It's a dipping sauce that you're dipping your salad in.
You're fucking crazy, man.
Straight up.
What a hill to die on. All right, this is from a Purple Dragon on Reddit. Keep 2, cut 1 for next season's roster. Grimes, Oubre, Barlow.
Grimes, Oubre, Barlow.
Keep 2, cut 1.
Well, the benefit of the draft is that you'll get somebody at 25 first, and then know what you kind of need. I would probably say Oubre for age reasons is probably the safe bet of just like let me get rid of the older guy. and stay like young and hungry and fresh. Would be my guess. Yeah, and it's also like the contracts of them will be different than like Barlow is signed to a shorter contract, a smaller contract. Oubre you'd have to pay a little bit more too. I'm interested to see what Grimes gets. I mean, he's been I think largely good this year. Maybe that is not the case for other people, but I think he's proven in the last 2 years that he's like an NBA rotation player and can play both ways. And the shot comes and goes. It should be better than it is.
Feels like a mid-level guy, right?
That seems totally fine.
Yeah. And speaking of Dominic Barlow, this is from Duckman6699. What a name. Do you think there is a systematic reason why two players who get converted to full-time contracts always seem to get worse for us after signing the contract? We've now seen it with Ricky Council, Justin Edwards, and Dominic Barlow is trending in that direction. I don't know that there's a reason. Does look like a bit of a trend for us.
I mean, it might be you're playing so hard for something, and then once you're in the club, it's sort of a little bit like, all right, I can relax some, and then the incentive is minutes. Is if I do this, I'll play more, and that's what you want. I don't think that is necessarily like a conscious thing. Ricky was an extreme case because it was like he's not playing team basketball. He's playing Ricky world.
Ricky ball. Yeah.
Justin, I think, was just had a struggle to the start of the season last year. Was obviously horrendous for everybody, and so he got opportunities. And so I think you have to be a particular kind of player to have your minutes come and go and be a good shooter still, and come off the bench cold. There was a Sixers Adam report about Justin Edwards changing up his pregame routine, so that he can come in cold and immediately start hitting shots. Barlow was weird because I think it's sort of they were in training camp. They were like, we need to plug this hole of like offensive rebounding, energy, defensive rebounding, and Barlow was capable of doing that for a time, but I guess he was out of his comfort zone and you sort of revert back to your old habits maybe. And now he's hurt. So
yes, I also, I think he may have lost a little bit of what made him valuable. I'm still optimistic for him. The trajectory for him was, wow, look at how hard he's working. Yeah. And then it went to, wow, look, he can do other things. Oh my God, he might be good. And then it seemed like now he's only doing the other things is sort of how it felt the entire time. So
yeah, I think also Barlow is the perfect power forward in a healthy lineup because everybody else does all the other things.
Yeah.
If it's Maxey, Grimes or VJ, PG, Embiid, you want Barlow in there as the glue there. And I think when that goes away, he's a little bit overtaxed and he can do them, but then that means it's at the expense of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Okay,
There's a lot of chatter about the Schedule Talk song in voicemails and emails, and Ricky read it. It is very popular, the Schedule Talk song.
Amazing. Yeah. All right, so Schedule Talk tomorrow, Monday, losing to the Thunder at home by 45.
Now, do you think Jared McCain has a poetic good game or a poetic bad game?
I think it'll be medium. He'll have like 12.
Okay.
I think it'll be not enough to, because if he has like 30, then maybe they fire Nick Nurse on the court. That would be funny. Matt Cord gets to fire Nick Nurse at the end of the game
before he retires. Yeah.
And then Sixers Bulls all trying to lose, have a roster of only guards. Paul George will be back for that game. Theoretically, it'd be nice if Embiid was also back for that game.
Would be nice.
I would like it.
Yep.
And then a couple of days off, Sixers Hornets, which will be an important game.
Yes.
Is Saturday. So lose to the Thunder, got the Bulls with Paul George back would be a nice win to get. A little positivity with the return of Paul George would be nice. And then a couple days off before Sixers Hornets. So a game you kind of got to win, and then the Heat coming up on Monday. So we're right there.
Yep.
They could. I would be very surprised. Now, they haven't won any good games since that Wolves win the day after Fly the Process. There's been no good wins. There's been no wins that you're like, that was great. Except
not the Blazers win.
Unless you're AU.
Yeah.
Unless you're AU, which God bless them. But they've been just like, I take care of business against the team you're supposed to, even if it's like a trudge. It's a slog, but and then losing by $1 billion to the teams that you expect to lose to. These Eastern Conference, like in the mix 5 to 10 range, Miami, Charlotte, that's when it gets serious. And so it'd be really, really nice to have some of the players back for that. That would be important.
Actually, a good question in the chat. Over under 1.5, McCain looks at the 76ers bench to Nick Nurse after hitting a shot. I hope it's over.
I hope he does his nails in a cool way. Insult to Nick Nurse. Where do you think the Sixers end up right now? They are 39-32. They have 11 games left in the season. They are almost certainly going to finish over 500, which I think if you had told us before the season, that's a success. But right now, 5 to 10, where do you think they land?
Oh, I don't know. They'll end. I'm just going to say they're going to end right where they are.
7.
They're going to end at 7.
Okay.
And I think of the final, we have 11 games left, right? Or 10?
11.
11 games left. I think they'll go 6-5, and they'll wind up with 45 wins.
I mean, that would be a successful season.
Wow.
And how weird would that feel?
Yeah. It's felt horrible.
It didn't always feel horrible.
Well, if it's not it's a successful season if Embiid plays as well as he does and they get into the play-in and don't make the playoffs, though they win 45 games. I don't know.
I think
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think we got to wait and see. I think you got to hold your horses officially.
That's probably right. But it's a loss. I mean, there's 4 automatic losses on the schedule. And then like 4 automatic wins left, and then 3 maybes. So we'll see.
Okay.
Depends who's back. I would like our players back. That would be nice.
It would be nice. Well, okay. So and what if they end up playing? What if Cade Cunningham's not back and they end up playing the Pistons in the first round?
I know.
Does that count as being a good team? I would say no.
No. It would still be the best team that they've beaten. If it's
but still not good.
Cade.
Pistons without
I'll
Cade
take
doesn't
it.
count.
Let's cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay.
God damn it.
All right. Okay. All right. We will talk to you next time. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah. You know, lick face.
Mm-hmm.